This is the Nubia Z70S Photographer Edition. But how good is the camera? Is it on par with other flagship mobile phone cameras? Or better? So let's break it down. This phone is built for photography, as it says Photography Edition, but the aesthetics of it reminds you of a Leica camera retro kit. There is also a physical photo shutter button available for ease, so you just click on it and you can snap a picture just like old times. Let's jump straight into the main camera. So the main camera features a 50 megapixel 35mm lens, which is great for street photography, an aperture of 1.7, but it's fixed. We'll talk about that later. It has a bigger sensor, 1 to 1.3 inches, that's pretty big for a smartphone, and two focal lengths available, which is the 35mm as well as a 50mm. So let's jump straight into the pictures. If you can take a look at this picture here and you zoom right in, and you can see the details are pretty clear, and you see the foreground is not meshed up together with the background. It's pretty good details, especially with the 50 megapixel lens. But if you zoom in a bit closer, you can see that some of the details starts blending in with the background. So when it comes to a 50 megapixel lens, you would expect a bit more. You wouldn't expect it to sort of fall apart. The main camera sensor, which is pretty big, it's great because now that it allows a lot more light into the sensors, when a scene is well lit, the details that it captures is pretty good. This is where the aperture level of 1.7 really shines through, because you can see the details captured within this photograph. Of course, when it goes out of focus, there's a bit of bokeh around it, but that's normal. The HDR here is also pretty rich. The color is rich. You can see different tones, different colors. However, some parts of the background is a little washed out, but the main focus area is pretty good. Moving on to the next photo. I quite like this photograph. It captures a lot of details, especially that it's a photo of a river. So the details captured here is still great, especially with the shutter speed. There are some AI processing in and around the focus area, but the main focus area is really good. So next up, we have the Telephoto camera. It features a 70mm 64 megapixel lens. It also has an aperture of 2.4. Also features three focal lengths, 70mm, 85mm, and also 140mm. Personally, I like this lens the best. When it comes to telephoto lenses, people want great details. And this does give you great detail, especially when you zoom in and around the focus area. There is great details and also separation. There's very minimal AI processing, which I love. In comparison with the main camera, this doesn't have the aperture limitation because the main camera has a fixed aperture level of 1.7. This one changes accordingly, or you can take control of it in the Pro section. With the different focal length options, we also have the 85mm here, and this time you can see it looks a lot different. Most likely because the shutter speed is not as high as what the main camera produced. But once you zoom in, you can see that there are a lot of AI processing done in this photograph. It can almost pass off as an oil painting. Nothing wrong with oil painting with this. Personally, I think the telephoto lens excels in architectural photography. So if you take a look at this picture where it's featuring the Merdeka 118, there are great details, especially because it's well lit, and also the color is still rich, and also it's still getting the reflection of the clouds of the building. Yeah, it's great. Next up is the ultra-wide the ultra-wide angle camera. So this is the 13mm 50 megapixel camera. Sounds good, eh? 2.0 aperture, macro up to 2.5 centimeter focus, and also has three focal lengths available. I have some thoughts about this one. You would think that an ultra-wide picture, the surroundings of it shouldn't look too stretched out, but here, as you can see, the clouds are stretched out, parts of the trees are stretched out. There's also a lot of noise, a lot of details lost. The blacks are too black. The lights that are coming through, for some weird reason, the sun is green. I'm not sure if this is AI processing or the sensor in itself, but it's not a great look for the ultra-wide angle camera. But not all is bad with this camera. So if you look at the macro photography, this is actually pretty good, because in this picture here you can see details with the ants. You can zoom in maybe about 5 times in. You can still see the ants, you can still see the ochres around it. It's pretty great. Some parts of it still looks a bit shaky for some reason, but when you zoom out, you don't really notice those things. Even when the focus is fixed on one part, details are not lost in and around it. And the noise level isn't so bad. This is where the AI is coming in and helping with the processing of the image. So taking a look at another picture, another macro shot. Also, again, you can see details in the flowers. Even though it's not as well lit as the previous photo, you still get a lot of details. The AI is coming through right here. You don't feel like it's too over processed. Some parts of it maybe, but when you see it as a whole picture, it's pretty good. The camera really picks up on the colors. The HDR is also great, it's rich. Even if it's not in focus, it's not as washed out. Now we've covered all three cameras. Moving on to portrait mode. Because it's well lit, the camera does a pretty good job. But I would like to go into detail here where the AI is over-processing in and around the subject. So when you look at it from afar, the bokeh is great, the portrait shot is pretty good, but when you zoom in, you can see part of the hair has been blurred out. The AI has sort of overcompensated. I don't quite understand this bit because around the subject, the bokeh effect is pretty good. So with the separation, with the image being well lit, I'm not sure why the AI overcompensates the bokeh effect with the hair in and around here. Otherwise, the HDR is pretty good, the colors are pretty rich, but there are some difference in quality compared to the normal mode. So moving on to videos, so this camera can shoot up to 8K 30 frames per second, 4K 30 frames, 60 frames, 120 frames per second, which is great for slow motion capturing. So the stabilization is pretty decent. If you're moving at a faster pace, the stabilization is not as great. When it comes to autofocus, there is a bit of a lag. There are some jitters where the camera is trying to focus the foreground and the background at the same time. So if you're trying to move around, just move at a slower pace. Okay, so this one is a bit more controversial. The zoom is pretty good. It can go up to 50 times optical zoom, but where I have a problem with is this. When it shifts from one lens to another, there is a significant jitter in the camera, as if it's physically shifting between lenses. And you don't really want to see that, especially if you're filming sports, you're filming something fast-paced, and then you're trying to zoom in or zoom out, and then you have these kind of weird movements. Yeah, not a great look. Other than that, the details that it's capturing is pretty good, but when you're trying to zoom in is where the problem starts. So, now that you've heard it all, would you get this for your photography adventures? Let us know in the comments. See you guys in the next one.